Hey everybody! Today we're going to be covering the case of Evelyn Boswell. She was a 15-month-old baby girl who was taken from this world far too soon.
We hope you enjoy this coverage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Now let's dive in.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. I'm Leslie Earhart, a Public Information Officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. This is certainly not the update we had hoped to provide this evening.
I'm Jeff Cassidy, Sheriff of Sullivan County. This evening we received information that led TBI agents and Sullivan County detectives to a property belonging to a family member of Evelyn's mother in the 500 block of Muddy Creek Road in Blumpville. During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl. At this time, the investigation is in the very early stages. There's a lot of work left to be done, and right now, this is the extent of what we can provide today.
Evelyn Mae Boswell was born on November 21st, 2018. She was a beautiful 15-month-old little girl with a sweet smile, bright blue eyes, and wispy blonde hair. She loved Baby Shark, sweet potatoes, and bath time. She had begun to wobble along on her little legs as she practiced to walk. She was meeting her milestones early, and she'd started to grow her vocabulary. This little girl with so much promise and a full life to live was brutally taken from this world by the one person who should love and protect her the most, her mother, Megan Boswell. Megan Boswell, born in March 2001, gave birth to Evelyn at 17 and went on to live with her foster family in Blountville, Tennessee. She didn't have an easy life. She grew up in a broken home wrought with TV, substance addiction, and criminal actions. Megan retaliated by skipping school and going down the path of becoming a teen mom. She was sent to foster care when her parents decided that she was too much to deal with, and she gave birth to her daughter, Evelyn. Megan claimed that Ethan Perry, her boyfriend, was Evelyn's father. He didn't want to take part in his daughter's life, seeing her a few times and providing a very small amount of support. After graduating high school, Ethan was encouraged to enter the military, and he decided to join the Army. Megan continued to take care of Evelyn, and everyone who knew her said she had a very close relationship with her daughter. Friends and family claimed that wherever they saw Megan, they would see Evelyn attached at the hip. Then, in early December of 2020, Megan began working at a local business called T's Chicken Shack. She appeared to be a hard worker, working long shifts and spending much of her time at the restaurant. While working at the Chicken Shack, Megan met Hunter Woods, who shared ownership of the business with his father, Carl Woods. As Megan became interested in Hunter Woods, a relationship began to grow. She spent more and more time at his restaurant. Meanwhile, cracks slowly seemed to form in Megan's relationship with Evelyn. As I got to this point in the case, knowing the history and what happened, the eventual outcome, this was the point. It's often a relationship like this that triggers different emotions, thoughts in Megan's mind of a life she was probably imagining with this new guy, this new relationship. And if there was mental illness involved here, it's not a good combination. Now, Evelyn's babysitter recalls Megan claiming at one point that Evelyn was, quote, mean as shit, unquote. One friend, Katelyn Carter, said that Evelyn smelled when she joined her and Megan at a restaurant for a visit.
Do you recall going to Chili's with Megan Boswell at one point?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was there when you went to Chili's that day?
Me, Megan, and Evelyn.
What was your impression of Evelyn that day?
She was dirty, and I could smell her across the table.
Okay.
Soon, people began to notice that Evelyn did not accompany Megan as she was out and about. Whenever Megan was asked where Evelyn was, she would claim that Evelyn was spending time with her father, Ethan. This is the point where the lies started. It got to a point in February 2020 where Megan's father, Tommy, started to get worried. He'd had enough of Megan's excuses and reported Evelyn missing. Now, I could not imagine how a father could get to the point where he would actually report his own daughter's daughter missing instead of the mother of this child actually reporting her missing. The number of lies, the excuses must have been constant and so extreme that Tommy actually felt compelled to call the police and report this little girl missing. I can't even imagine. This report that Tommy made ultimately brought to light a web of lies spun by a very uncoordinated spider, Megan Boswell, Evelyn's own mother. The lies at this point that would come out of Megan's mouth would cause the wide-reaching destruction of many lives and would lead to an entire country of concerned people. And Megan Boswell would go on to become one of America's most hated mothers of all time. It began in February when her father, Tommy, reported Evelyn missing to CPS. Immediately, a search would begin for the little girl, questioning Megan and everyone who had any ties to Evelyn. On February 18, 2020, Evelyn was officially reported missing by Megan Boswell. She told authorities that Evelyn had been missing since December. Specifically, it was claimed that December 26th was the last time Evelyn was seen. An Amber Alert finally went out in February. When announcing the Amber Alert, Sullivan County Sheriff Jeff Cassidy told reporters the case was full of, quote, conflicting information and inaccuracies, unquote, and that he believed Evelyn was actually last seen December 10th or 11th by a babysitter. Evelyn's disappearance began to ripple all the way to Nashville on February 22 that year. The search for the girl prompted a petition called Evelyn's Law in the Tennessee Senate. It asked lawmakers to pass legislation making it illegal for parents to wait longer than 72 hours to report a missing child. The final law that was passed later made it illegal to wait 24 hours to report a missing child. Megan reported that Evelyn was visiting with her father, Ethan, who was on active duty at a Louisiana Army base. The father, who has not been charged in the case, issued a statement saying that wasn't true. This is when Megan began a series of stories told to authorities and the press. One story was that her mother had something to do with the disappearance. In a February interview with a local television station, Megan said she knew who had Evelyn and didn't want to contact police because she thought the person would disappear with her daughter. Megan then later said her mother, Angela Boswell, had taken the child on a camping trip, according to the criminal complaint filed against Megan.
In a press conference last week, Sheriff Cassidy said Megan Boswell's story continued to change throughout the course of the investigation. After speaking with her Monday night, she says she told police who had Evelyn from the start.
I know she has to be in a campground in Mendota with somebody. And Mom told me that they had a silver camper, and that's all she would tell me.
Investigators searched a Virginia campground but found no evidence of Evelyn. Angela Boswell was not charged in Evelyn's disappearance or death. I cannot imagine being the mother of a child who's missing, knowing where the child is, and throwing everyone, every family member under the bus. I just can't imagine the mentality that would lead a human, especially a mother, to do that kind of thing. To authorities and to everyone else. The amount of lies was unbelievable, and you can even see in the interview when she was claiming her mother had her child, there's this little grin, this little like smirk on her face, like almost like she herself can't even believe that she's telling such crazy stories, thinking that people are going to believe it. I don't understand how she thought she would get away with all of these lies, or even get away with it, with any of it at all. But she apparently believed it enough to keep making up lie after lie. Even the news media was practically laughing at all of the tall tales she was telling everyone. It was just unbelievable. Anyway, moving on. In the midst of all of this, on February 21st, Megan's mother, Angela, was arrested with her boyfriend, William McLeod, for car theft when they took a BMW owned by Hunter Wood's mother, Misty Wood. This is just a crazy side twist to this case. This whole part of the story was extremely confusing, as Angela and her boyfriend claimed that Hunter had given them the car. So then, given where Angela, her boyfriend, and the car was found in North Carolina, the police searched a pond for Evelyn there, and Evelyn was not found. Finally, on February 25th, 6 days after the FBI announced the Amber Alert, Megan was arrested on charges of giving false information to investigators, finally. The beginning of March finally saw Boswell appear before a judge. She was formally charged with false reporting, and the judge denied a request to lower her bond from $25,000 to $10,000. Just days after Boswell appeared in court, the TBI finally announced investigators had found the remains they thought to be Evelyn on the property belonging to Tommy Boswell. Tommy had encouraged them to look at a shed on his property located on Muddy Creek Road. She was eventually found in a playhouse located behind the building. Now, I want to be sensitive in this case because this was a tragic scene. It was a terrible scene. It was gruesome, and I'm going to try to word this in a way that is not quite as gruesome, but it's very difficult because in this case, what she did to Evelyn was gruesome, and it's hard to get around that. She was found essentially put upside down in a trash can. She was still dressed in her onesie, and she had foil covering her head and her face, and completely wrapped in a blanket.
Right here, behind that shed or yard barn, was a playhouse, and it's noted Playhouse ROE.
Tell us what you found or what you observed when you went to that outbuilding.
What was found there were multiple boxes of belongings of Megan Boswell that contained a variety of items specific to a young child. The last photograph I have is this is my hand in the picture. It's pulling back. It's over the trash can with what appeared to be and a foot of a baby or a baby doll. It appeared at the time with the fleece blanket and the purple onesie. At that time, we didn't. We stopped what we were doing. We'd found we'd found Evelyn, and we made phone calls. We had called.
Now, the medical examiner found that she had died of suffocation, possibly after being placed in the trash can. That is the most tragic part of this whole thing, in my opinion, is the fact that it wasn't just any death. It wasn't just an unaliving. It was almost a form of torture because this poor little girl wasn't even gone when she was placed there. And she had to suffer even more after being tossed out like trash. And it's hard not to feel just overwhelming anger toward the woman who did this. It's heartbreaking, and it's hard to imagine the state of mind someone would have to do something this horrendous to a toddler, to a little baby. It was such a sad reality for the treasure that this little girl was. Boswell appeared in court again on March 9th, 2020, and investigators revealed more information about the part she had played in the search. Ultimately, TBI investigators said Boswell had shared false and conflicting information, costing valuable time in the search for her missing child. A grand jury indicted Boswell on August 2020 on 19 charges, including murder and aggravated CA. Following this indictment, the trial was scheduled and rescheduled due to changes in representation. Judge James Goodwin agreed to postpone the mother's trial after the defense asked for more time since Boswell was recently appointed a new attorney. The new trial date was set for February 3, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. There, Megan Boswell was charged with felony murder, aggravated CA, aggravated child neglect, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, and multiple counts of false reporting in the death of Evelyn Boswell. The trial ultimately began on February 5th, 2025 with opening arguments.
Today we're going to talk about Evelyn Boswell for a few minutes. In 2019, Evelyn Boswell was a bright, growing little girl, full of life, healthy, learning to walk, learning to talk, doing all the things that a 12-month-old child would do. We all know that all of that was taken away from her in December of 2019 by the defendant, Megan Boswell. And a lot of times it is a tragedy, and in this case it's a tragedy too, but in this case it was a preventable tragedy. There's so much more to this story that you are going to hear.
Ms. Massey, she's right about a lot of things. I mean, there's not a person in this courtroom who wants to be here discussing a dead child. And it's very interesting what they've done. They've asked you to convict Megan Boswell of first-degree murder in 3 different ways. They've asked you to find that it's a premeditated and intentional killing of her child. And then they're asking you to find that it's a murder that is perpetrated as part of. And then they're saying, well, if it's not that, surely it's because of child neglect. That's a problem. The state's theory is reasonable doubt in and of itself. They don't know what happened. They don't know how that child died, and they can't prove how that child died.
Further, Megan's attorney argued the child's death was accidental through SIDS, claiming that Evelyn died as she was sleeping in bed with Megan and Hunter Wood. According to the story, Megan Boswell panicked, and she claimed that Hunter hid the child's body in the trash. Even while she's defending herself in court, she's still throwing other people under the bus. She never took responsibility for what she did in this case, and even in court continued to throw other people under the bus. A poor Hunter. I can't even imagine what this has done to his life. It's just tragic on so many levels, and it's destroyed so many lives. Now, Messingill, representing the state, said evidence showed Boswell was the only person responsible for Evelyn's death. Though the prosecutor told the jury there are certain aspects of the case that no one but Boswell knows. Medical examiners then testified in court that Evelyn likely died of suffocation and that she was found in a trash bag with aluminum foil wrapped tightly around her face. Sullivan County Assistant District Attorney Amber Messingill said, quote, "She told story after story for 2.5 months. And maybe the worst part is that she just went on with her life as if Evelyn had never existed. Evelyn did exist. Evelyn was a real person. And Megan Boswell should not be able to go on as if Evelyn did not exist." End quote. Probably one of my favorite quotes from the trial, to be honest with you. After the week-long trial in Sullivan County, Boswell, 24, was convicted on February 13th, 2025, of first-degree murder, along with other charges, including CA, neglect, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, and several counts of making false police reports.
To judgment of this court, you are guilty. In count 2, a jury of your peers having found you guilty of first-degree murder and the perpetration of a felony, it's a judgment of this court, you are guilty. In count 3, a jury of your peers having found you guilty of first-degree murder and the perpetration of a felony, it's a judgment of this court, you are guilty.
At her September 5th, 2025 sentencing hearing, the judge said, quote, "There is no doubt that this defendant had absolutely no hesitation when she killed her daughter." He then added, "She is a dangerous offender, and society needed protection from her even in old age."
I would just like to say that the state of Tennessee treated me very unfair during this whole investigation, and had I had a fair trial and an impartial jury, I would have been acquitted of the murder charges. I would have never hurt my baby, and I did not kill Evelyn. That's all.
There can be no more cruel act than to stuff a 13 to 15-month-old baby wrapped in blankets and aluminum foil head first into the trash can. Especially when that 13 to 15-month-old baby is your baby.
Megan Boswell was ultimately sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 33 years on September 5th, 2025 by Sullivan County Judge Jim Goodwin in the death of her daughter, 15-month-old Evelyn Mae Boswell. She will never be released from prison. While Megan ultimately paid the price for Evelyn's death through the guilty verdict, nothing will forgive the devastation she left in its wake. Megan's lies, starting at the very beginning of Evelyn's life, had far-reaching consequences. Lives were ruined, and sadness was felt across the globe. Ethan believed that Evelyn was his daughter. While he had very little involvement in her life, he cared about her. He was accused of keeping Evelyn with him as he was on active duty, which is not allowed by the military. He was investigated, and this had an impact on his entire career. Then, when Evelyn's remains were found, he believed that his own daughter had died. Then, it was determined that he wasn't even the father. This must have had lasting effects on his entire life. Hunter would, after being accused by the judgment of the public for having a part in Evelyn's death, ended up in a mental institution. His father explained that Hunter was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which can be triggered by a traumatic event. He will have to deal with this for the rest of his life.
Now, your son Hunter, does he still live with you?
No, he started living with his mother, but he's at the hospital at the moment.
Okay. He's at a hospital. Where is he in a hospital?
Marion, Virginia.
All right. Is that a mental hospital?
Yes.
How long has he been there?
2 months.
Okay. What, have you been up there to see him at that facility?
Yes.
What is his mental status this time?
Well, some days he's pretty decent. Other days he don't know who I am.
Okay. Would he be able to come into this courtroom and testify?
No.
Had he had mental health problems prior to that?
Yes.
Okay. When did he, if you know, when did he start having mental health problems?
Well, when he got accused of being a baby killer.
Evelyn's entire family mourns the loss of her precious life. They can only wonder what Evelyn would have accomplished. They won't be able to celebrate her milestones or see the woman she would have become. Evelyn's loved ones have created a Facebook group called Evelyn's Army. The community continues to keep Evelyn's spirit alive. Evelyn was laid to rest in her own special spot, surrounded by freshly planted trees in a local Tennessee cemetery. Community members decorate her gravestone frequently. As with all the cases that we cover, we send out our love and condolences to Evelyn's family. Cases like this are especially sad, where the person who should love and take care of the victim the most is the one who ultimately takes the child's life. What drove this mother to take the life of her beautiful, sweet child? Was it mental illness? Was it jealousy? Was it entitlement? Immaturity? Okay, so now I want to ask you. You researched this case from beginning to end. I know I covered it, but it was all you. Number one, why did you choose this case as our first deep dive?
A couple reasons. Number one, it happened right in Blountville, which is
right next door.
Mm-hmm. Also, it kind of reminded me of the Summerwalks case. And this outcome was really, really sad. But it also showed that a case that old can get solved.
Can still get solved. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was a very positive. The one positive thing is that the person who's guilty actually got tried and convicted.
And you know, in any of these cases, that's what we want. That's all we want, right?
Hope for, yep. So anyway, everyone, let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, let us know any cases that you would like to see us cover in the future. Jen will research.
Yes, I will.
And I will cover. So thanks for watching, everyone. Love you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.